Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fear on the High Seas, written by Ryland Mason, narrated by me, Brian Shepard. Chapter 3, Eric. Red hair. It's the only thing that stuck in his mind as he stood on the bridge next to Smith. Blue eyes, like the ocean, he thought. Eric's mind was somewhere totally different than where he should be. The land of distraction. Eric always had a thing for redheads. Not sure why, yet there it is. His mind wanted to keep thinking about the guy, yet Smith broke the silence. "Sir, all is well, and you have a dinner to attend to. Let's not keep Ashley waiting again," she said as she smiled at Eric, who was still in a daze, yet quickly responded. "Yes, of course. I have a feeling that Ashley's going to outdo herself, as I hear she loves to host parties. I, on the other hand, hope it's not an all-night thing. I have to meet with the chief engineer in the morning. I'm heading off. Ring if you need anything," Eric said as he opened the door and walked off the bridge. Smith nodded and began her duties. The main dining room was located on Deck 7, bow section. The dining room housed small round tables, all with ivory white tablecloths, and navy blue cloth napkins with a gold ring in the middle. 3 main chandeliers hung from the ceiling, adorned with hanging cut shards of crystals. Each table had a soft glow from the candle that sat in the middle of a beautiful arrangement of orange roses. The smell of old mahogany hit Eric as soon as he stepped inside. Ashley decided not to gut this room, as the old wood and decor were still in good condition. Everything just needed a good wash and touch-up. Passengers had begun to pile in now, causing his sightseeing of the room cut short. Finding Ashley talking with Cassie, Eric proceeded to join them. "Ashley, Cassie, I hope you both are well. It seems you two have outdone yourselves, as this room looks amazing," he said as he walked over to their table, which was in the front, a table in which everyone could see. "I give credit where it's due, and the credit goes to Cassie, who took my vision and ran with it. I loved it when I walked in. The guests even have noticed, which is good. Now, as soon as everyone is seated, we can begin and the music can start," Ashley said as she sat down at the table with Eric behind her, pushing her chair in for her. Taking a seat, Eric glanced around the room at all the passengers who would be chatting and dining this evening. Young and old couples eyeing each other over the light glow while holding hands, some loners looking over the menu, and then his eyes landed on him. It's the guy from earlier on deck. Eric noticed the guy with his head in one hand while his ocean-color eyes watched the sea out the large windows. He was with someone else who didn't seem too interested, as both just sat there in silence. That was until Anita Cromwell walked in. Anita. Boy, where to start? Eric knew Anita all too well. Having been a cruise lifer, or someone who lives on cruise ships by bouncing ship to ship or sticking with one ship the whole year, Anita was 75, a recent widow, and still seemed to have the energy to keep cruising. However, this sweet old lady came with drama, as she was always sticking her nose in other people's business. Eric thought maybe it's because she's alone and has no one to talk to, so she makes friends during the cruise, only to meddle in things. As Eric watched on, the food began to arrive at the tables, and the live music from the front of the room started to play. Everyone seemed to be chatting away, eating fantastic food. Looking around for his guy? I don't even know the guy's name, he thought to himself. Ashley motioned Eric to join her as they made their way around the room, conversing with the guests. Yet his eyes were still looking for his guy. There it is again, his guy. However, Eric could not see him anywhere in the room as they were now approaching Anita's table. "Captain Moore, what a beautiful ship you have here. And to think I was worried who they hired for the job. And here you are. Miss me that much?" Anita said with a grin as Eric and Ashley approached her table. "Of course I've missed you. It's been 2 years since we last sailed together. And I am sorry to hear about Robert. He will be missed. Your husband was a joy to talk with. Any chance for a tour, he was as happy as a schoolboy, Eric said, noticing Ashley was looking a bit confused. Miss Ellsworth, I assume. A pleasure to finally meet the owner of this old girl. Last time I was on this ship was for our 25th wedding anniversary. God, the memories. It's why I just had to get back on when I heard the old man left her to you instead of throwing her away. I think I'm going to rather enjoy myself on this trip, Anita said with a grin. A smile that meant she was up to no good. Eric knew that face. Ashley Ellsworth may introduce a cruise ship industry VIP of sorts, an avid traveler, who also sometimes can be a thorn in my side, Anita Cromwell, Eric said as Ashley held out her hand to shake Anita's. It is a pleasure to meet you as well, Miss Cromwell. I have heard so much about you, and to think you decided to sail aboard the Coral makes me very happy-go-lucky, Ashley said, trying to be warm with a smile. Like I said before, everyone knew about Anita. If Anita didn't like something, she made it known, and not to just everyone she comes in contact with while cruising. She'll call the company. However, considering Eric's past sailings with her, nothing really was reported, and it seemed as if she enjoyed herself. She also had her husband to contend with. Now, she was alone, and God only knows what she would be up to. Distracted by the change in tempo of the music, Eric overheard Ashley excusing herself as she continued to the next table. Before Eric could do the same, Anita lightly touched his arm and said, "Red suits you," and with a smile turned and sat back down at her table. Eric, taken back, just stood there for a moment, trying to realize and comprehend what that meant. Standing in the doorway, Smith waved her hand, wanting to talk to Eric. Eric, moving his way to the exit, looked at Smith confused. "What is it, Smith?" he asked as he approached her. "Sorry to interrupt you, sir, yet it seems we've been having issues with comms," she answered with a sigh of frustration. "Comms?" "Yes, sir. It seems we are losing both inside and outside communications. It'll go off and then come back on again. So far, it seems to be working properly, and I have sent Rollins to look into it. Just thought I'd let you know." "Understood. Keep me updated, and when Rollins returns to the bridge, have him report to me," Eric said, turning to find where Ashley had made it into the room. "I'll see you on the bridge shortly. Let me speak with Ashley." Smith nodded and walked away towards the bridge, while Eric made his way over to Ashley to excuse himself, as this was an interesting development which needed his attention. After talking with Ashley and having left the dining room, which seemed to be a hit, he noticed, he was now on his way back up to the bridge. I just want to pause before I keep going and hope everyone is enjoying this book so far. Here we are, chapter 3 already, right? So I just introduced one of the quirky characters that is going to be reoccurring throughout the story, and that's Anita Cromwell. I came up with Anita, and it's funny because I was thinking of a character, one that can be, a cranky I wanted an older character that, is always in someone's business or, can be a complainer. But there's also that soft side as well. And you'll see that throughout the book. But yeah, she causes some mischief. So let's just put it that way. So yeah, but the name, I came up with Anita. I just saw Anita somewheres and I can't remember. And every time I say the name Anita, and I'm pretty sure this is going to happen to you after I mention this, but for some reason, Cruella de Vil pops in my head when I say her name and it's funny because I want her to be like Cruella de Vil, but also be kind and warm, so about 50-50. She's got the look of Cruella de Vil, but she can be both. So from now on, when you hear me say Anita, Cruella de Vil should pop in your head. And if it doesn't, well, maybe then it's just me. I don't know. But anyways, there you go. So let's continue on with chapter 3. I have a little bit more to go, and we'll go from there. Chapter 4 is almost done. So I'm kind of on time with everything, so it seems. So we're moving right along. All right, here we go. More of chapter 3. Oh, boy. All right. Back on the bridge, Eric waited for Rollins to return from the communications room and report on what would be causing an issue like this, as it was a new system. With their first port of call being Havana, there was no way they could get someone to come and look. They would have to fly down. If they could just wait until they docked in Nassau, it could be dealt with, because that was their home port. Sierra Maestra Terminal would be on the horizon by morning, so passengers could go ashore and enjoy the beautiful sights, food, and culture Cuba was famous for. For now, Eric looked out the front windows using his binoculars and saw nothing but clear seas as the moon shined bright against the ship, causing Eric to notice a shadow reflecting down off someone who was sitting on one of the portside benches looking out towards the sea. Well, what do you know? It's him. Him? Time to fix that problem right now. Smith, while we wait for Rollins, I'm going to step away. I'll return in a moment, he said, still looking at the man on the bench. Turning to Smith, she simply nodded as Eric made his way off the bridge and down the steps to the top deck, around the corner to where the benches were, only to find him walking very slowly towards the railing while talking to himself. I can do this. I will not fall overboard. Just one look, the man said as Eric watched from behind. Is everything all right, sir? Eric asked gently, so as to not scare the guy. Just as the words left his mouth, the man turned, and eyes locked, and both wore a smile. Blue as the ocean, with curls of red that bounced off his face when he turned. I'm sorry to have frightened you, yet it seems you were talking yourself into something, Eric said, looking over towards the rail. I don't like the fact of being on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Mix that with night, you can't see anything. If I'm going to be on the ship, I can at least try to get over my fears, he responded, looking over his shoulder towards the rail. I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm here to help if I can. Captain Eric Moore at your service, Eric said, extending his hand towards him. Taking Eric's hand and shaking, he replied, Justin Fox, and thank you, Captain. I'm sure I'll be fine as the trip goes on. I'm sure, as I believe I saw you traveling with someone. Brother? Eric asked only because he wanted to know what he hoped would be the right answer. Friend. No, Chance is my best friend who decided to crash my cruise when my ex, Jeb, decided to be a jerk, and now I'm single and on a cruise for the first time, Justin replied, sighing at the memory of Jeb. I'm sorry to hear that, and happy that your friend decided to come along with you. I sadly went through something similar myself. David didn't like the fact of me gone for so many days while cruising. He seemed more codependent, which didn't help matters. He figured someone younger suited him best, Eric confessed, stepping ever so closer to Justin. Just then, a thought popped into Eric's head. Maybe a tour would help ease Justin's fears. May I recommend something to ease your worries about cruising? Eric asked, hoping Justin would say yes and give him more alone time, without it looking like he was in any way fraternizing with a passenger. As to the idea of a tour. And Eric really did think that it would work. It worked for him. Justin, looking worried, just stared at him before Eric continued, A tour of the ship by me, personally, as I think it would help put your mind to rest if you knew the ship in and out like me. My captain did the same thing for me when I was new. It worked. so I don't see why it wouldn't